This video talks about how to find slope. So if you're given different bits of information, how you can use what you are given in order to find the slope of a line. So first of all, what is slope? So depending on how you were taught in the past, you might have seen slope as the rate of change. Rate of change. This is the rate of change of a line. It can also be called the rise over the run. So that's talking about the change in y values over the change in x values. So if you have a line like this, the rise is this part. How does the y value change between this point to this point over here? And change in x would be how did the x value change from here over to here. So this triangle is called delta. It's a Greek letter and it means the change in something. So delta y over delta x is the change in y over the change in x. If you're talking about an equation of a straight line in the form y equals mx plus b, m is your slope, that's your rate of change. And the final thing that we'll talk about in this video is when you're talking about the change in y over the change in x, it's often written as m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And these are subscripts, meaning the 2 and the 1 are at the bottom of the letter, not up here at the top like a square or a cube or something like that. They go at the bottom because it's just telling us that there's 2 different y values and 2 different x values. Okay, so if you're given a table of values, how can you find the slope from this table of values? First of all, you would need to check, is this a linear equation? In this case, I've already done that. It is linear. So you know how to do that. You find the change in the y values. Whoops. This way. You find the first differences all along here. So I'm not going to do that, except I'm going to just pick 2 points. So the first 2 in this case, the change in the x values, -2 minus -4, would give us 2. So you're going up 2. You can do the same thing here, is up 2, up 2, up 2, up 2. The change in the y values, -16 minus -30 is 14. And if you check, they're all like that. If you do first differences, all of them are 14. So that's how we know it's linear. So to find out slope is denoted m. M is rise over run, or delta y over delta x. In this case, delta y, the change in the y values, is 14. The change in the x values over here is 2. Divide that down and you get 7. So m is equal to 7. So our slope of this line is 7. I'm going to give you a minute so you can figure out the slope of this line. Okay, now we're going to try finding the slope from 2 points on the line. It's very similar to using a table of values. You just have to find the change in the x values and the change in the y values. You can do this only if you know that both points lie on that line. It won't work if you just pick 2 random points if they're not on that line. So the slope of this line, m equals rise over run. That's like our equation we're solving here. So the way we're going to set this up is we're going to say y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So all of our points are written as x comma y. That's our ordered pair. So I'm going to call A x1 and y1 over here. And I'm going to call point B the ones with subscript 2. Okay, so y2 is this number, 31. y1 is 11. x2 is this one, is 7, x1 is 2. So we subtract these, we get 20 over 5. Divide that down, we get m is equal to 4. So our slope is 4. It doesn't matter which point you choose. We could also do it the other way and say that this is 0.2 and this is 0.1. Once you plug in those numbers, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, plug in the numbers the other way, you get 11 minus 31 over 2 minus 7, which is negative 20 over negative 5. Divide that out and you still get 4. Just make sure that whichever one you pick to be 0.2, make sure that both of them line up here, and for 0.1 they line up here. Make sure you don't have, say, this one and this one for 0.2 and these two for 0.1, because that will not make any sense. Okay, here's one for you to solve. Find the slope of this line given points C and D. And finally, if you're given the equation of a line, how do you find the slope? If it's in y equals mx plus b form already, then this is the simplest thing to solve. Y equals mx plus b. We know that m is the slope. So if we're given this equation, the slope is 3. If we're given this equation over here, y equals 1 over 2x plus 7, the slope is 1 over 2. So our rise would be 1 and our run would be 2. If you're given the equation in some other form, you've already worked on how to rearrange. So say you had an equation that was like 2y plus 7x equals 0. You would rearrange it to solve for y. And then once you have it in y equals mx plus b form, your m is your slope. So, just a quick summation of this video and the others that you've looked at today. If you're trying to find the slope of a line, if you have a graph, you can find it. You look at the graph, find 2 points on that graph, to here and here, find the rise, find the run, there's your slope. Given a table of values, your change in x over your change in y over your change in x, there's your slope. 2 points on a line, similar to table of values. A table of values, you can pick any 2 points in that table, and it's the same thing as finding 2 points on the line here. And if you're given the equation, either rearrange to get it in y equals mx plus b form, or if it's already there, the number before your x, there's your slope. And just to note, if you're given an equation that looks like this, it's always m, your slope, is always the number in front of the x. So if we rearrange this so it's written correctly in y equals mx plus b form, we'd have negative 3x plus 7, so our slope is negative 3.